Hey everybody, welcome to the Sky Lounge, and this is Sky High, episode number 37, boys and girls. And on this episode, I'm going to recap all of NFL Week 17's action. And Jesus Christ, a lot of strange games this one. A lot of division rivalry games, and no weirder than the New York Jets beating the Buffalo Bills 13-6. A very ugly game. I mean, come on, what do you expect between the Jets and a resting Buffalo team, where they knew coming into this game where they were in the standings for, the seedings and everything, with fifth wild card spot, is that right? So the whole thing is Matt Barkley starting versus Sam Darnold. That doesn't tell me anything about Sam Darnold. Okay, it just doesn't. It doesn't really tell me anything about Matt Barkley. All that tells me is, okay, Buffalo's resting their key guys, and they got to get back at it on Saturday. Because wild card, bitches, it's nearly upon us. I mean, playoff football is upon us, boys and girls, and it is very exciting. And I'm not gonna lie to you, boys and girls, it's been a really crazy season where I thought certain teams would do well, and I thought certain teams would not live up to expectations. I mean, Carolina is one of those teams that did not meet expectations at all. But the New Orleans Saints have been pretty damn solid. I mean, let's be real. I mean, they're the third seed overall right now for the NFC. So for them to destroy the Carolina Panthers in Carolina 42-10 was incredible. So you actually have Michael Thomas winning the NFL receiving title. Michael Thomas with 1,725 yards on the season. I mean, he broke records this season. It was incredible how dominant Michael Thomas was. It's crazy, too, to add that Drew Brees was out for about 5 or 6 good weeks. And for Teddy Bridgewater to come in there, get shit done, it's a huge testament to how good the Saints are. Not to mention that they got Batman, a.k.a. Taysom Hill. Absolute fucking stud. But Carolina, moving forward, they have a lot of things to answer. Who's going to be the next head coach? What are you going to do with Cam Newton? How are you going to go into this draft knowing that your defense is so bland and mediocre, and your quarterback situation is questionable at best? Lots of questions moving forward for Carolina, but for the New Orleans Saints, they are going to be playing on Sunday for the playoffs. So we're going to preview all of that in a bit here, but let's talk about the Cleveland Browns getting their asses pounded 23-33 against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals already secured the number 1 overall pick. That's already a given. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys all the fucking draft order, at least the top 20 for the NFL draft, but let's talk about this real quick. The Cleveland Browns had no semblance of a defense on that day against the Bengals. And all you can see is just disinterest and apathy, just carelessness from everybody. I mean, it started from Cleveland's defense and it trickled on down. And of course, Baker's going to get the brunt of the fucking criticisms. Of course he is. You got assholes on ESPN getting all hate boners and just jizzing all over themselves. I'm looking at fucking Rex Ryan. All right, Mr. Mark Sanchez is the greatest fucking quarterback. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Granted, Baker didn't make himself look good at all throughout the season. The image he kind of laid upon everybody was a very young, slightly immature quarterback who has had a very tough season. The Cleveland Browns have been let's be real, they've been in a mitigated disaster. And finally, Freddie Kitchens has been fired. Thank fucking Christ for that. He was fired immediately after the game, and I've been calling for his job for months. This dude is a fucking disaster. He's terrible. How he became coach is a mystery to me. And now the Browns are, they're getting desperate. They're looking to add Josh McDaniels That's one of the key guys that they're interviewing, which is like, what? All right, if you think he's gonna do with Baker Mayfield with what he did with Tim Tebow, all right, then be my guest. Now, this next game decided a very curious seeding, and up until the Sunday Night Football event, which obviously, me being a Seahawks fan, and I've talked about on the fucking Seahawks review, we know the results that the Seahawks lost, and it actually ended up putting Green Bay in an interesting position as the second overall seed in the NFC, because they defeat the Detroit Lions 23-20 in Detroit. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Green Bay looked really bland and mediocre. I didn't really see anything positive about Green Bay, other than, all right, you got the win. Mason Crosby kind of exercised his demons, especially after last season where he went to Detroit and just missed, 3 or 4 field goals? That was a disaster for him, and it's, very interesting and very decent enough career at this point. But Detroit, oh, Jesus, dude. I don't even know what to say about Detroit anymore. They are one of the most depressing fucking things to talk about. And anytime I talk about Detroit, I feel sad because one of my really good friends is a Detroit fan, and I hate that the organization just shits on the bed so fucking much, and they just crap all over the fucking bed on the fans. It's ridiculous. But what should I expect from Detroit? I mean, really, I'm the idiot for expecting something, which is crazy. But there you have it, kids. What's also crazy is that people thought the Chargers were going to be a very good team in this upcoming season. My God, they got their ass trounced all throughout the season. And in the last game, Kansas City whoops the Chargers 31-21. And what the hell is the point of the Chargers? Why are you moving to LA? Why didn't you just stick to San Diego? Spanos, you're a fucking idiot. Philip Rivers is gone. He is gone. You hear that exit interview, that press conference after the game, and from the body language and from the actual verbiage itself, it sounds as though Rivers is done. He's done with the Chargers, and I would be very curious to see where he goes. It'd be pretty crazy if he went to the Carolina Panthers. I'm just saying that right now. The Panthers are in desperate need of a veteran quarterback who can lead a team of decent enough pieces on offense, along with a fantastic running back in Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Mr. 1K. 1,000-yard rushing and 1,000-yard receiving. I mean, I would love to see Philip Rivers there. Maybe even a fucking Andy Dalton in Carolina gear. I think those two guys would be fantastic additions to those teams. But in the Chargers, it's a fucking sinking boat. Now, the curious thing about the Chiefs is now they are the number 2 seed in the AFC because of this next game, the Miami Dolphins beating the Patriots 27-24. And this is the craziest part. If you went to the sports book, I live in Las Vegas, so I drove to the sports book. If you looked at the odds for the Miami Dolphins, it was plus 880. All right, so if you put in $10, you're getting what? $880 back, is that right? Or 88? 880? Yeah. You're getting a shit ton of money back if you put in just $10 for the Miami Dolphins to win this game. And I feel like a fucking idiot because I put the $5 on the fucking Lions instead of the goddamn Dolphins. But my God, Fitzmagic doing what he does, fucking up tanks, and oh my God, just making Miami a hero. I mean, Kansas City is reportedly looking to get Ryan Fitzpatrick to bang on the fucking drums for the playoffs because of his win, because of the Miami Dolphins win against the New England Patriots in New England. Kansas City is number 2 in the AFC. That is absolute insanity. I didn't realize what the fuck I was seeing. Some crazy shit. I feel stupid for not taking that bet. But that shit happens. Just like the Chicago Bears beating a rested Minnesota team, which I should have seen from a mile away. But the scoreline really suggests far from what we talked about, the guys not being there. Chicago wins 21-19, but wow, like, what the hell's the point of Chicago playing that game? I mean, Mitch Trubisky's still Mitch Trubisky. Like, what the hell's he gonna do? Magically become Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not. He's a limited quarterback. He's only gonna give you what he can. Oh my God, Chicago fans, I feel for you, but you're fucked. Like, you are just fucked. Sorry. As is Tampa Bay. Okay, so let's talk about this. Atlanta beats the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28-22 in overtime. And Jameis Winston wins the passing title at 5,109 yards. But we have to put a huge asterisk with this title that Jameis got, okay? I hate the fact that these fucking yards don't even matter anymore, especially passing yards, because of the way the game has evolved. In terms of softening a lot of these calls in favor of the quarterbacks and on offense. Jameis is a bang average, or on a bad day, terrible quarterback. 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the year. No quarterback in NFL history has ever done that. That is astounding. That is absolutely astounding and horrifying to think about. And I'm going to be brutally honest, dude. The Atlanta Falcons are fucked. Like, what are you going to do in the near future? Like, you're going to still stick to Dan Quinn? Is that right? Okay. All right. You got a fucking franchise right now where the kicker, Koo Young Ho, is putting up more points than the fucking quarterback, Matt Ryan. Think about that shit. And they got weapons like Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman. So, yeah, you fucking tell me if the Falcons are going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They are fucked. I think the Steelers too. They had a prime fucking opportunity to win a game and potentially win a playoff spot. But with the rested Baltimore Ravens team, who already had the number 1 overall seed for the AFC, Pittsburgh fucking chokes. There's no other way to say it. They lose 10-28 against the rested Baltimore Ravens. And you begin to wonder, like, is the whole Mike Tomlin coach of the year thing a big hoopla? I think so. I think it's been a big fucking waste of white noise. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mike Tomlin, coach of the year? No. He's got amazing talent, but you can't string anything together into a cohesive thing like a win. What the fuck is the point then? So, the Ravens finish the year on 13-3. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, just with incredible numbers on the year, is probably going to win MVP. Wouldn't even be surprised if he wins the Madden cover. Just wouldn't be surprised at all. Just because how amazing he has been. But you know what happens with the Madden curse, everybody. That shit will fuck you up. Just like people taking the fucking +11 on the goddamn Redskins. Me. Fucking idiot me. The Redskins die 47-16 against the Dallas Cowboys. And for the Cowboys, this was a meaningless win. The game was dependent upon the result of the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Giants at MetLife Stadium. And the Eagles won that game handily 34-17. And with the virtue of that win, the Dallas Cowboys were eliminated from the playoffs. How about them Cowboys? Not great. Not great. Jerry Jones has a very tough decision to make. And I think the reality is you have to cut Jason Garrett. Jerry, massage your ego a little bit. Get an actual head coach. Like, go to the college world. Go to wherever. Get an actual fucking head coach that could create a philosophy behind this team. Who, by talent-wise, I mean, by on paper talent value-wise, you should be getting to the fucking conference championship year after year. Sorry, that's what I think about this Dallas Cowboys team. I know people say a lot of shit about Dak Prescott, but he's a good quarterback. He can get you to places. Limited as he may be, you got enough talent around to get shit done. It is the coaching. The coaching has been awful, and you have to move on. loyalty and all that shit, you got to move on. If you want to be a successful organization, you have to move on, Jerry Jones. That's all I'm going to say about that. The Redskins, yeah, they fire President Bruce Allen. What else is going to be positive about this team? Nothing. Moving forward, really nothing. They used Case Keenum, and I should have fucking seen the red flags when Case Keenum was a goddamn quarterback. Took the fucking plus 11 like an idiot sucker. Where I almost did make the money on my Philadelphia bet by only 6 points. But my prediction of Philadelphia winning this game came true. I mean, they handed the Giants a big L. And what could have been Eli's last game as a Giant is on the sideline. Now, who knows where Eli goes? I don't think Eli goes anywhere. I think Eli, if anything, retires as a Giant. Gets a huge, fanfare, heroes goodbye and all that. But we'll have to see. But for the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, they're flying into next week. Wild card round. So good luck on them. I mean, they win the NFC East title. Just absolutely phenomenal from them to come back after, 4 weeks of just consecutive wins, just compounding wins and beating your arch rivals in the Dallas Cowboys, and to see them sink by your own fucking hands. How satisfying is that? I'm legitimately asking because I wouldn't know that after Sunday. We talked about the Seahawks, but we're going to talk about it later. Because we got to talk about the Tennessee Titans taking care of business against the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans rested a lot of their great players. DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, he's going to be back in the playoff round. But the Titans, I've underestimated the Titans. I really have. And to see Derrick Henry win the rushing title at 1,540 yards is unbelievable. Just recall from week 3 or 4, where Marcus Mariota was sinking this fucking Titans team. And you really genuinely felt that this Titans team was lost. There was no fucking way they were going to make it to the playoffs. And I said this. I said they were going to be the worst team in the AFC South, and I was wrong. They are headed to the playoffs. With this win against the Houston Texans, they have made it to the wild card rounds. And kudos to the fucking Titans, man. I really doubted them all this time, but I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong, and I don't mind admitting that. I don't. As for the Texans, we'll see. We'll see when your roster's filled up, but I just think it's a team too dependent on one or two pieces where if it falls apart, it's ugly. And I'm talking about if J.J. Watt is missing from that squad, it feels like a dead end. So we'll have to see with the Texans how they do. But their other AFC South counterparts had a bit of a scruffle. But what the hell is the point between those two teams, right? The Indianapolis Colts got their asses handed in the second half, losing 20-38. And I say second half because they kept it close in the first half. They kept it competitive. It was nice and easy. But then you realize, as good as Frank Reich is, if there isn't the fucking quarterback talent, nor the goddamn defensive talent, nor just the passion for the game, the Colts got their asses handed by a dejected Jacksonville team that just needed something. Because it really does look like Doug Marrone, the head coach, is out the building. It doesn't look like he's a great option, and feels as though from the top, from the Jaguars, the executive, staff, it would feel as though the time to lay waste to this entire staff, i.e. firing everybody, is at hand. So we'll see how the Jaguars handle themselves. But the Denver Broncos, able to handle themselves by beating the Oakland Raiders 15-16. Now, the Raiders needed a lot of things to go right for them to make it in the playoffs. Titans had to lose. Pittsburgh had to lose. I believe one of the NFC teams had to win by virtue of strength of schedule or whatever. All these crazy things needed to happen for Oakland to win. But the reality was Denver was significantly better than the Oakland Raiders. There was no ifs, ands, or buts in my opinion. I think Drew Lock is going to be a good starting quarterback next year if you get the help. Watching that Denver O-line it's mortifying because you watch that thing and you begin to wonder how the fuck how are you going to guard this dude? How are you going to protect Drew Lock? And you just have to wonder if the Denver Broncos will smarten up and get a goddamn O-line. That's just simply it. And the simple part about explaining the next game is two teams that have nothing to play for except kind of humiliating each other. And I mean the Rams and the Cardinals. So there were some cocky plays by the Rams on fourth downs and shit where I just thought, wow, it's just... what are you doing, Sean McVay? Your ego is so wounded that you have to fucking, I don't know, take your angst out against the Cardinals, who also have nothing to play for. Granted, listen, the Cardinals straight up beat the Seahawks, and I admit that, flat out. But that team is really nothing to boast about overall, right? Overall, in the grand scheme of standings and all the fucking stats that all you fucking nerds seem to love, they're nothing. So, for the Rams, it's sure. Let's win 31-24. Meaningless. Absolutely meaningless game. But for bettors, it was one of those things where, oh man, we're so close, but not there. And that was my case. I made a lot of bets this week, and none of them came through. None of them came through. And I was pissed. And what was worse was my Seahawks lost by an inch. And yeah, I made the review video about the Seattle Seahawks, and it is one of my most disliked videos, which shout out to all y'all just clicking on that shit and just watching, because by virtue of you just clicking, you're putting my numbers up. So thank you, haters and likers alike. But that game was really disappointing. To lose at that moment, between Pete Carroll's brain-dead decision to take that delay of game and to get that PI call not called, and to have New York explain in a bullshit roundabout manner that they fucked up but they don't care, it was disappointing. And mainly because the Seahawks losing this game means they are the 5th seed in the NFC. And if they had won, they would have been the 3rd seed hosting a wild card game against the Minnesota Vikings. But that doesn't happen anymore. And now the New Orleans Saints are the 3rd seed. The Seattle Seahawks will be traveling on the road against the winning NFC East title team, which 4th seed, Philadelphia Eagles, will be the opponents the Seahawks will be facing. And here's the crazy part. The 49ers win the 1st seed. And as salty as I am, yeah, they deserve it. And they've been, as much as I hate the fucking 49ers, they have been kicking ass all season long. The fucking numbers don't lie, man. You watch any of their fucking games and you think, wow, this is really sloppy. Especially those last 5 weeks. You're watching these 49ers games and thinking, wow, this is really sloppy, but they're getting their wins. They're getting their goddamn wins. Pretty fucking thoroughly. So I can really complain. So kudos. You guys get the 1st seed. And perhaps, if Minnesota doesn't win, by all estimates, -8. -8 on the Saints right now. The Vikings are huge underdogs, but we'll have to see. We will have to see, because I am very curious to see if Kirk Cousins will show up on Sunday and perform against a New Orleans Saints team. And before we get too crazy with the details, let's talk about the playoff and the playoff seeding. So let's start from the AFC. The number 1 overall seed for the AFC is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2 is Kansas City Chiefs. Number 3, because of their brain dead loss, donkey brain loss against the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots are the 3rd seed of the AFC. That's crazy. And the 4th seed is the Houston Texans. Come on, they're just the Houston Texans. They will always win that fucking shit-ass division. And in the wild card, you got the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. So this upcoming weekend, you are going to have a matchup of, I believe, what was it? The Houston Texans taking on the Tennessee Titans. Is that right? Or the Buffalo Bills? Hold on, guys. No, it's the Houston Texans taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Bills will be headed over to Houston. I apologize because I kind of blanked out on the schedule here a little bit. But yes, the Buffalo Bills are going to be headed over to the Houston Texans. And we are going to be seeing some really interesting defensive battles, I believe. Because here's the whole thing, too. Like, Buffalo is one of the best defensive ranked teams out there. And I think you're going to see a tough battle. The Houston Texans haven't really looked all that encouraging or all that promising in these last few weeks. And despite J.J. Watt coming back, who knows if he's 100%? Who the hell knows? I don't. I just don't count it against them. Like they just might not be up to snuff. As for the Patriots, they will be hosting a game against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have a huge task ahead of them. I think ultimately they might not make it out, but they got a decent chance. The Patriots haven't really looked all that great. But I'm not going to lie to you. Bill Belichick is a goddamn wizard. All right? He's a goddamn Sith Lord. Just like Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, this motherfucker will not die. Okay? Don't count it out. The Patriots might fucking come out of this wild card and just start mauling people alive into the AFC Championship. It might happen, kids. All right? Our worst nightmares might come true again. The Patriots making it to the fucking AFC Championship. Oh, God. We need a lot of this right now. We do. And on Sunday. So all of those AFC games are on Saturday. So Saturday, we got football. Sunday, we got football. And the Minnesota Vikings will be headed over to Saints territory in New Orleans. And my goodness, I mean, the history between these two teams in the playoffs. I mean, you got Brett Favre, in the infamous interceptions. You got the Minneapolis Miracle, and now this. It is going to be a crazy, crazy matchup. Will Kirk Cousins live up to the bill? All that money paid, will he finally take the Vikings to the next round? Will they? Will they? Will they? We'll see. And my Seattle Seahawks will be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's crazy because the Philadelphia Flyers are headed to Vegas this week against the Vegas Golden Knights. And yes, absolutely. I'm going to be headed over there in Seahawks gear. Going to get a lot of ire from a fucking group of Philadelphia fans, but I don't really care. I'm just really happy my fucking Seahawks are in the playoffs. And yeah, it sucks. We lose the NFC West title in a game we could have won, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. We got an opportunity to fight for the Super Bowl. And it starts with one game at a time. And it's against the Philadelphia Eagles where, oh boy, this team has come alive within the last few weeks. And I've got to say, Carson Wentz is living up to every fucking hype I've been saying about him. He has been a general and a leader and an inspiration for this Eagles team. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles beat the Seahawks. I just wouldn't be. I mean, I'm going to hope and think and feel my Seahawks will win, but I just have a weird feeling that the Eagles are good enough. The Eagles are that composed, that level-headed in those crazy critical moments that they're going to give us a fight. They're going to give the Seahawks a fight and a battle. And I hope the Seahawks come out of it alive. I do. But, kids, listen. The reality of the NFC and the AFC seedings, you know, guys who win divisions, who overtake shit, also means there are losers. And so without further ado, I want to bore all of you with the NFC and AFC, which is the NFL, boys and girls, the NFL draft order for 2020. Oh, it's unbelievable. So let's start. Number 1, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 2, Washington Redskins. Number 3, Detroit Lions. Number 4, New York Giants, who fired head coach Pat Shurmur after 2 years. I mean, finally, he sucked. So good for moving on. Maybe fucking, I don't know, draft some decent picks on the defensive side, maybe. Giants, I don't know. We'll see what you do. Miami picking number 5 overall. The Chargers number 6. Carolina Panthers number 7. Arizona Cardinals number 8. Jacksonville Jaguars number 9. And the Cleveland Browns at number 10, which suck. I wanted Cleveland to do better this year, but here we go. Here we go. Number 10 overall for the Cleveland Browns. So hopefully they just do something smart with that pick, Cleveland. Oh, fuck. Number 11, the New York Jets. The Oakland Raiders, the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, will be picking number 12 overall in Las Vegas in 2020, and hopefully I can go to the draft next year. That would be fantastic. I would be excited as all hell if I went over. But yes, the Raiders will be picking number 12. Indianapolis Colts will be picking number 13, Tampa Bay number 14, Denver Broncos 15, Atlanta Falcons 16, which, yeah, you plummeted your draft fucking prospect by winning all those useless games. So congratulations, Atlanta. Number 16. Dallas at number 17. Hoo-wee. Number 18, Miami. Number 19, Oakland. And number 20, Jacksonville. So notably, Jacksonville, Miami, and Oakland have 2 of these picks in the top 20. And so, great pieces you can build around in the near future. And lots of great stuff showcased over the weekend. And I don't really pay attention to a lot of college ball, but these bowls were interesting in terms of the narrative, right? Joe Burrows against the Oklahoma Sooners, who, yeah, I mean, they've had a pretty decent season as far as I've heard, but Joe Burrows has been this, shall I say, I mean, near LeBron James-esque level of quarterback coming from the state of Ohio. And here we have the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, most likely moving off from Andy Dalton, looking to strengthen their quarterback position. And they win the number 1 overall draft pick. And Joe Burrows goes in that game against Oklahoma. 7 touchdowns? Is that right? Holy shit. I mean, the fucking LSU Tigers. Is that the Tigers? Is that right? I apologize if I don't get the fucking mascots right. I do not know college football at all. But LSU's Joe Burrow bury the Oklahoma Sooners. And it was just incredible stuff to watch. If you watch the highlights from Joe Burrows, the stuff he was doing, pretty insane. And then you also watch Clemson versus the Ohio State. I mean, every fucking NFL player who says that shit. I mean, I understand. You guys have pride in your school, which is awesome. I kind of say that out of salt and spite because UNLV sucks ass. But here's the thing, guys. What I saw Trevor Lawrence do this past weekend, I gotta say, man, I was blown away. I don't really watch college ball. I don't really like college ball, but Trevor Lawrence was a highlight reel. Dude ran for a 67-yard touchdown, and he's a fucking pocket passer. Whoever wins the number 1 overall draft order next season, I mean, they're going to pick Trevor Lawrence. They have to. What the hell? What an incredible quarterback. It'll be terrible if somebody like the fucking Lions got a hold of Trevor Lawrence, and they ruined his career because of just Detroit luck. Ugh. That would be awful. That would really be awful. But it's not as awful as, star attractions leaving fun events. And what I mean by that is Alexander Ovechkin will not be attending the All-Star game in 2020, which sucks. I mean, here's the thing. As a fan, it sucks because he's not going to be attending the All-Star game. But at the same time, I don't really pay attention to the All-Star game. I really don't. I generally care about actual regular season hockey, how, the points actually add up. They matter in the end, right? And my Vegas Golden Knights. So usually the All-Star game is just one of those things. It's a popularity contest, and it's unfortunate because the only Vegas Golden Knights player who gets the nod is Marc-Andre Fleury, who, I mean, credit to Marc-Andre Fleury. We love Flower. Malcolm Subban's also awesome, but Marc-Andre Fleury is the man. He is the face of the franchise, and deservedly gets the All-Star vote. And there's a lot of salt and ire, of course, with All-Star voting. Fan opinions are always divided. They always are. And there's a lot of salt everywhere, right? It happens all the time. All-Star votings is always like that. Any fucking sport, it happens. But I'm just glad Vegas is getting a rep, so we get a new jersey. Might check that shit out because, I mean, god damn it. I only got the James Neal jersey right now, so really thinking at this point, it's Malcolm. I keep saying Malcolm, but I mean to say Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury, Mark Stone, or Nate Schmidt. I mean, those three jerseys are kind of in my option and range where I want to buy them. But Jesus Christ, hockey jerseys are fucking expensive. But I did get my Eruzione captain jersey for the USA because, we got the World Juniors going on. And funny enough, they're actually going to have an event in Las Vegas in February where Eruzione and some of the men from the Miracle on Ice, they're going to be attending the game in Vegas for the 40th anniversary of Miracle on Ice, which is spectacular. I can't fucking wait for that event. But this is what happened, kids, when you just ingest all these fucking sports like a fucking loon. This is all you can fucking talk about. This shit and movies and TV shows, which we gotta talk about The Mandalorian real quick. I'm not gonna say any spoilers, but to me, as a Star Wars fan, I gotta tell you this. I have been a Star Wars fan since I came to the United States in 1998. I have been introduced to Star Wars via VHS, the original trilogy, and then went to the theater in 99 to watch Phantom Menace. And my father actually took me to go watch Attack of the Clones. I think he dropped me off and I just watched a movie by myself. And Revenge of the Sith, I watched with my friends here in Las Vegas in 2005. And I believe it was 2015, I watched it in theaters by myself. 2017, same thing, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And then The Rise of Skywalker, I watched last week. And being a Star Wars fan for all these years, progressively I've been really disappointed in the movies. Progressively, as the years go on, I mean, the movies have been very disappointing. I think the peak emotional appreciation and love for me on Star Wars and in film category was Rogue One. I remember watching Rogue One in theater twice, and I felt, wow, this is Star Wars. Like, this is the Star Wars I want to see. This is the... If you're one who loves lore building, if you're the one who loves details in a world, like a beautiful fucking vast world and universe like Star Wars, Rogue One was a perfect example of where you can move away from the central characters, the characters we are so sick of hearing, the fucking Skywalkers, which we love the Skywalker saga, but come on, something new. And that was refreshing, and Rogue One was exemplary. And the movies from that point on, I mean, fucking fell to the face of the earth for me. Solo was so disappointing. I think I've watched it twice at this point. I gotta give it another go. But oh boy. All of these films have been just plummeting, and The Rise of Skywalker, Might have to watch it a second time because I got Regal Unlimited now, kids. I actually haven't used it yet, so I gotta use that within the fucking first week at least, right? Get my goddamn money's worth. But all I'm trying to say is, like, I'm making this point way too long with the fucking tangents. All I'm trying to say is, Star Wars is at a point where I believe investing their time and money into developing TV shows with writers and giving them time, you know, at least a year and a half in production to get these materials right. I mean, I think it's critical, and I think it's shown how successful it can be. I mean, The Mandalorian itself has shown how successful it can be, where if you have a great writing staff, Jon Favreau, Taika Waititi, even Bryce Dallas Howard directed one of the Mandalorian episodes. It's incredible what you can do with great writing and great staff. And I think Disney really has to look into this situation and think, all right, take a hiatus from Star Wars, the movies. Like, take a complete hiatus from the Star Wars movies, because you have completely disrupted what we loved about the Star Wars movies in the first place, which is the mystique of not having Star Wars movies for periods of time, which used to be 3 years, which became short 2 years, and then they had the 2 anthology movies in between, which became like, like, what are you doing with these? These are ugly. I don't want these. I get these out of my face. But Star Wars, in my eyes, have always operated on mystique and world building, right? Even the prequel trilogy, which I do not like. I mean, even when people try to compare the new trilogy with the fucking prequels, I'm like, I hate both of them. They're both in the fucking garbage. Okay, like, stop it. Stop comparing them. Like, none of them. No one's better than the other. Okay, marginally maybe, but in general, no. They're all bad. Okay, but Disney has to figure out that movies aren't working right now. It's just not. I mean, they have to catch on. The movies aren't working. Rise of Skywalker is projected to not even make close to what The Last Jedi has made. I mean, obviously, it's not going to get to Force Awakens level because the hype around Force Awakens was massive, and yeah, it fell flat on its face. So I would say stick to what you're doing with The Mandalorian, because it has been such a great fucking series to begin with. And the way they ended it, it's so great. It's so well done. And you want it to keep going. And thankfully, fall of 2020 is the next air date for The Mandalorian. So we got to be patient on that. And I actually got to check out The Witcher. I know it just came out, and been hearing rave reviews about it, and really want to check out how Henry Cavill does, because I'm a huge fan of that guy. And man, it's just been crazy how all this media is just pumping out, and we got all this other stuff going on in the world of sports ball. Obviously, heading into 2020, it's going to be election year, so all you're going to see in, you know, the advertisements before even you see this fucking video, which you're probably not going to get to this point, but man, it's going to be just a fucking, it's going to be an awful year. It's a decade to remember. Like, yeah, this decade was kind of whatever. Like, yeah, all right. And so, real quick heads up, boys and girls, before we go ahead and upload this tonight. The 31st is coming up. Tomorrow is December 31st, the last day of the year, the last day of the decade. And I'm hoping to have a podcast up tomorrow night before New Year's Day. And podcast is probably going to be about, you know, top 10, you know, events in my life in the decade. And it's going to be a bit weird, might be a bit emotional, but willing to put myself out there, man. You know, we got to talk about these things sometimes. And you know, it's just been an interesting decade. And the next decade is going to be another interesting one. So let's leave it at that, boys and girls. Don't want to titillate your titties too much. So follow me at the Sky Lounge and all the links in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe for more daily content. Now, fuck off.